financial challenges. The rich want to get richer. The poor do not want to get poorer, but they want to get less poor than they currently are. Maybe your challenges might be maybe non-financial, or it might be challenges that you're going through in a relationship. So this morning we're talking about overcoming challenges, and I've been joined by Dr. Osei-Kusi. He is a life coach and a motivational speaker and consultant. Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Show.
Good morning.
Okay, so now we're talking about challenges in general, and how would you generally describe challenges?
Well, challenges are basically problems that are difficult to overcome. So situations and circumstances that comes to our lives that are difficult to overcome. Some problems are easy to solve, but others are really tough, and they come in all forms and shapes. It could be in health, could be financial, as you've said. It could be in a relationship. It could be an accident. It could be the loss of a loved one. It could be being fired from a job, losing money in a business. It could be thieves or robbers attacking you. These are all challenges, and some of them can really be tough to overcome in life.
Okay, and let's talk about some of these general challenges that you've mentioned. Since it's Friday, let's talk about relationship challenges. What are some of the challenges that people go through in a relationship?
In a relationship, I mean, you could have a broken heart, so you put your trust and your love in somebody, and you were thinking about settling down with the person, and then eventually you find the person maybe cheating on you. Or you find that the person just changed their mind in the last minute. Say a week to your engagement, the person changes their mind. Or family step in and say, we're not going to allow this marriage to take place. And a lot of things happen, and it can really break your heart, and it can bring your life to a halt. And if you're not careful, you're just going to get yourself caught up in a web that you can never come out.
So sometimes in relationships, for instance, let's talk about mothers, for instance, and how they dote, upon their sons, and how they interfere in marital relationships, for instance, or even dating. But even let's now in on marriage, where a man sometimes has to, or feels like he has to choose between the wife and the mother. Those sorts of challenges also do occur in relationships sometimes.
Yeah, they do very much. I mean, it's a very complicated area when you talk about relationships and marriage especially. See, the problem is that we go to school to become doctors, lawyers, administrators, but we don't go to school to learn marriage. But the truth is that, if you're going to be a doctor, you're just going to be a doctor for a part of your life, let's say 8 to 5 or something. But when you get to marriage, you're in full time. And so if you have to go to school 6, 7 years to actually become a professional in an area, I bet you we need to invest a lot. And what I find with young people is they just think marriage is about a wedding day. They just prepare for one day.
They just do, I love you, and they feel
that's
it too.
It's not a joke, it's serious.
She has a nice body, he has cash, they match.
Well, it's more than that.
It should be more than that. Okay, so I just want to continue with that example of a mother-wife, where you have to, strike a dichotomy between the two. In such a situation, when you're facing such a challenge, what is a man supposed to do, for instance?
Okay, let me look at challenges in general, because we all go through challenges, and life is such that things don't go as you plan it all the time. You get up and you think, today I'm going to do A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. Something just comes your way and messes everything up. And so everybody got to be prepared to be able to overcome the challenges that come their way. You see, it's just like an announcement that there's going to be a flood or there's going to be heavy rains. It's only the foolish person who doesn't get an umbrella. He doesn't make sure they shut their windows before going out. You just get out like that. That's foolishness. Whether we like it or not, there are going to be challenges. Life is said that there are ups and downs, and so you got to be ready for challenges. There are a number of things you got to do, and I'm going to talk generally, and we could zero in on the specifics. So first of all, you have to have a positive mindset in life if you're going to be able to deal with challenges in life. You got to be an optimist. You got to be the sort of person that no matter what happens, you're able to explain it out to the positive. Okay, so even
if you're looking at it from a psychological point of view,
it's very important. Even if you slipped and fell and broke a leg, you just tell yourself that, thank God I didn't die. Okay?
But my leg is broken.
But you can look at the bigger picture. It could have been worse. The truth is, it could have been worse. I like this funny one. Someone say you're going for a walk under a tree and a bird pulls on you. You should tell yourself that thank God that elephants don't fly. Can you imagine? I mean, if elephants could fly and an elephant really pulls on you, I mean, guess what? I mean, so, in every situation, just look at the positives of it, because whether you like it or not, negative things are going to come. Even if, God forbid, you've lost a loved one, come on, just look at the positive side of it. There could be some there's definitely a positive in every situation. So that's one way. Another general thing.
I'm sorry, I'm still flowing from that example.
Right.
I want to give the example of where a man maybe through an accident or some other reason loses his or generally becomes impotent. He can't get it up. In such a situation, what sort of thanks are you looking at? Usually some men would just prefer to, you're saying you should go like, thank God for life, but some might just prefer to not live than to live without their Johns.
Right. I mean, look, there's more to life than just one thing. And if you realize.
But that's an important thing.
It is an important, but you see, whatever happens in life really is good. And especially if you're a Christian, in all things you should give thanks, because you see, even the negatives of life is able to make you into something else. Let's say, I mean, that's even not that very serious. I have friends, and I know people who actually became blind. I know a young man. Okay, he's trying to make it in life, and he's going to school and doing painting on the side. He's just climbing the wall to paint somebody's house to make a little money. He falls down, the paint splashes on his eyes, and he goes blind. I mean, compare blindness with impotency. Man, that's terrible. All right, but you can look at the positive side of it, and he begins to think that, well, life must go on. I've got to find another way to make it, and that's how come we make champions in the world. All the champions give them whatever name, wherever they are from, they went through some massive problem, but they were able to think positively, overcome it, and make something better out of it. If you got impotent, perhaps you're going to be the person to develop, if you like, a medication or some solution to impotency, or perhaps you're going to get a story that you're going to share to inspire the world, I mean, that's how life is. I wish I could tell you more, about this great lawyer, who was sailing, this old story. He was sailing, I think from America to Europe, and he was going with his family, and just before the trip, I think there was a program, so he had to delay, and the wife and children went on the sail. And guess what? There was a shipwreck. He just gets a message from the wife. I think it was, at that time, it was it's not a fax. It was a
telegram.
Telegram, we've forgotten about those. That alive alone. The wife sends him a telegraph and say, I'm alive alone. All the kids are dead. So he sails, to catch up with them, and then, just finds out they lost everything. And that was the guy who wrote the song, It Is Well With My Soul, When Peace Like a River. And we sing this song and it inspires us, but that song was birthed out of somebody's challenge. So the crisis you go through, look at the positive side of it, and you will realize that it will make you a better person, it will make the world a better place, it will inspire other people for life to continue.
Okay, so still flowing from, I want you to continue about dealing with challenges. Is that the main thing you do, that you just thank God for life? Or
no, there's a lot more. So I call it 2 steps. The first one is prepare generally for a challenge. And then the next one is, if you land yourself in a challenge.
Preparing generally means you have to anticipate challenges are inevitable?
That's right. So in preparing generally, I think I've spoken about having a positive attitude to your life. The second one is I encourage people to get insurance.
Insurance? Insurance
is sense. Insurance is wisdom. You get insurance.
You don't work for an insurance company, do you?
I don't work for an insurance company, but insurance is wisdom. Look, there's so many kinds of policies, like you get a private health insurance. When you land in a sickness challenge, it was going to help you out. There are funeral policies, there are household policies, like even if you rent a house, it doesn't cost much. In fact, for about 100 cities or 200 cities, you can insure your TV and everything in the house in case there's flooding, thieves come for it. It's going to help you. It's basic wisdom. Okay. Also, to deal with challenges, to prepare for challenges, check the company you hang around with. If you hang around wrong people, you're just going to get a lot of challenges in life.
Sorry, I just wanted to go back to the insurance example, where, for instance, you're saying for about 100 or 200 CDs per month, I suppose. No,
for the whole year.
For the whole year.
I'm not an insurance expert, but I understand wisdom, and I know that insurance is wisdom.
I mean, for a whole year, it seems quite fine.
It is.
It
is.
I mean, it's even more expensive than the TV license. That's being charged. Okay, so go on. I thought it was for the whole month, for like a month. Then we'll do some calculation and see. Okay, so at the end of the year, you're paying about imagine it's 200 CDs or even 100 CDs. You're paying about 1,200 CDs.
Is that cheap?
That wouldn't be too wise, would it?
No, it's that cheap. I mean, in fact, I did one, I think, recently for my office. I think for about 200 something cedis. You can insure things over 20,000 Ghana cedis. Look, I think insurance companies should pay me for selling. But the truth
is, a whole year.
For a whole year.
Amazing.
For a whole year. It is a lot of wisdom. That is why elsewhere, people protect themselves. It's a way of preparing yourself against the challenges of life. And there are so many policies that help protect us.
Okay, so I think that's
That's another one.
Insurance. And the anticipation of challenges, preparing for challenges.
Preparing your mind psychologically and so on. But maybe let's go to dealing with challenges itself, okay? Because we're all going to end up in challenges. Now, the first one is if you find yourself in a difficulty right now, maybe you're sick in hospital right now, and you've been diagnosed with a disease, you don't know what to do. Maybe you've just had a broken heart this Friday morning. Your fiancé just sent you a text this morning, say, hey, we can't go out again, and you quit. You know.
Yeah.
The first thing you do is calm down. Calm down. You got to deal with the fear, because what happens and what causes the biggest problems is fear. When you end up in a challenge, you end up in an accident, you end up in a broken situation, the first thing that comes on you is a lot of fear. What's going to happen? I think I'm finished. I think I'm dead. Calm down and deal with the fear. The second thing is watch how you talk. If you end up in a trouble, be careful how you talk. A lot of people, when they get into trouble, they start saying, I think I'm finished. Nothing good is going to happen to me again. I better kill myself. My life, I don't think I want to live again. Now, you have to be careful, because the words you speak are too powerful. If you find yourself in a challenge, calm down, watch how you talk. Now, the next thing is speak to the problem. Sometimes when we say these things, people think it's cheap. But your mouth is powerful. You have to address the problem you're facing. And so you're sick, you're going to talk to yourself and say, I'm going to get well. Now, sickness in my life, I see myself getting better. You find yourself out of job and you're having no money, say, I'm getting a job. I'm going to be the next person to get this best job. Speak to the problem, speak to it, because there's power in your mouth. When you start talking like that, you begin to create a way into dealing with that challenge. Okay. Also, get counsel. Get counsel. There are certain challenges that you find yourself in that you need to get experts to talk to, a mentor to speak to, somebody to speak some level of wisdom into your life. Now, another thing you need to do is that you need to pray. You need to pray. No matter who you are, believe you me, if there is a seen world, there is an unseen world. There is an unseen world. There's an unseen world where things happen before they happen in real life. It's true. It happens. All right. And so if you find yourself in a difficulty, you have to pray. You have to pray. You have to, I don't know what, people have different religions. And of course, I'm a Christian, so I'll speak for that. But even if you're Muslim, look, wherever you come from, pray. Pray about the problem, because there is a spiritual force in prayer. And it's not just a spiritual thing. Even scientifically, it's been established that people of faith, when they are sick, they tend to get better more quickly. You must invest into prayer. Even if it's a broken relationship, you should invest in prayer, because prayer works.
In a broken relationship, do you pray for the person back, or do you pray to fire the person? Do you pray against the person?
I wish I could share, one funny story with you. In my own experience, I remember when I was living on campus, and towards my final year, students, you don't want to get you. So I was in a relationship, but things were really going awry. Things were going quite bad. And I remember I went to the field. There's a Sabbath Hall field park, and I went to pray there, and I would just pray and say, oh God, just bring this person back into my life. And I don't want to lose this person. I really want to get married to this person. And,
Your wife is watching,
My wife, she knows the story, I hope she's going to work anyway. But, I said that prayer, and guess what? I'm quite charismatic, so I started speaking in tongues as well. So I was speaking
because of the girl, you started speaking in tongues.
I started speaking in tongues. I was praying and speaking in tongues and speaking in tongues. And guess what? When you're speaking in tongues, sometimes you may want to come back and talk the ordinary way. So I started speaking again, and I realized I was saying that, God, I thank you that this relationship is over. I thank you that it's finished. And so guess what? That's why sometimes you need to pray, because especially if you're gifted with tongues and you speak in tongues, you are praying the right prayers rather than the prayers of your mind. You know what I mean? Sometimes you are praying for the thing, but God is saying that thing is not for you. And so as you're praying God's will, and God moves the thing away, because many times what we think is gold may not always be gold. God may have something for you. So as you pray, you begin to move nature, you begin to move circumstances to cause things to flow in your way, because the way you see things may not always be what it all is. So prayer is powerful. If you're going to crisis, you should not run away from prayers.
Amazing. But I'm still, playing back, the sentence in my head, that because of the girl you were praying in tongues. That's like,
hey, you know what love is all about.
That's strong. Okay, so still on overcoming challenges. So would prayer be the final step?
No. Another thing is look for the good in every situation. In every situation you find yourself in, there is something good. That is what we call gratitude. Gratitude is actually means seeing the good. When we say you're a grateful person, it means that no matter what you go through, you see the good in it. Now, also, when you go through crisis, allow it to blow you into the right direction. Okay, just like a storm. When a storm is coming, you can decide to go against the storm, or you can decide to allow the storm to blow you into the right direction. Many times when challenges comes to us, they come to help us become better people. For instance, this is personal, but I'll say it anyway. I went to the clinic some time ago, and they said my cholesterol level was a bit high. All right, and I over the years, since I started working for myself, it's you become slightly lazier. You just jump in the car, an AC car, you just drive to your office. You don't walk very much. You manage your life, and so you become a little bit lazy, not exercising. And so after having that diagnosis, I just said to myself, this thing must push me to exercise. So it's a challenge. It's a negative news coming to me, but I'm allowing that instead of sitting there moaning and crying, I'm allowing them to say, let this force push me to the gym. Okay, so you get in the crisis, you fail on exams, let that failure push you to sit behind the book and learn. Maybe you on TV all the time. One day you really goof on air, and instead of going and crying and moaning, you decide that I've got to increase my vocabulary. I've got to go back to studies. I've got to go back to school. Let that challenge push you in the right direction. And you will find out it was actually a good thing that happened to you, because it's out of these challenges that makes you a better person. And so there's so many things. Get to read around the problem, get to understand it, because problems comes to us to make us better people.
But would you agree that some problems have an overburdening effect? Like the effect the problem has is quite huge, that a person may not be able to overcome easily as compared to maybe other problems?
Absolutely, but the bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity.
The bigger the opportunity?
The bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity. When you have a problem, you should tell yourself this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to become a greater person. Because you see, you're not a champion, or you're not a commander until you've won battles. So you don't sit at home and be a commander. You don't sit at home and be a champion. Champions are made through challenges. Do you know how they raise the great Arabian horses? Okay, now these Arabian horses are worth $3 or $4 million, one horse. To buy one great Arabian horse, it's about $3 or $4 million. Do you know how they get them? They put together a lot of horses. They fly them to the desert, to the wild, hot deserts, and they run these horses without water from one end to the other. They run them back, and by the third time, half of the horses are dead. They run them down a couple of times, and they are left just 1 or 2 horses who have survived the toughness of the hot desert. And then they fly these horses back to, say, Australia, for, say, the Melbourne Cup, back to Europe. And these horses will run through any situation. Look, when you're going to tough times, it's there to make you a champion. And so you must encourage yourself. You must rise up and say, I'm going to overcome this challenge. I'm not going to let this put me down. I had a broken heart. Maybe I went through a divorce. But look, I'm not going to let this put me down. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to let this make me a stronger person. And that is how a champion is made. That's how you rise up above the storms of life. And so you become like an eagle. Because when an eagle doesn't fly with the ordinary birds, when the storm is coming, it rises high. It goes against the storm. It's tough. It builds itself up. And then look, it flies only where the great eagles fly. And so you become an eagle when you're able to survive the challenges of life.
Interesting. Okay, so what are some of the effects, these problems could have on a person in the absence of, these techniques to overcome the challenges? What are some of the effects it could have?
Well, you just die like an ordinary person. You just die a miserable death. You become a victim of life. You become a complainer. You get broke. Everything goes down, if you don't deal with the challenges of life, because whether you like it or not, you're going to come. And I like the way you're picking up on marriage, for instance. Look, if you're getting married, you must be aware, and in fact, beware that, it is full of problems. There are going to be problems, there are going to be arguments, there are going to be financial challenges, there are going to be sexual problems. People get married only to discover that one person cannot even have a baby. And I know a guy, and in a couple of months, he just divorced the wife because, they couldn't have a baby. And look, you can't predict everything, but you have to be ready. And no matter the challenge, just hold the hand of your spouse and say, we can do it. By the grace of God, we can do it. So
in a situation like that, that was what your friend should have done?
Well, he quit and found himself somebody else. But that's a defeatist attitude. Because the problems that you don't confront and overcome.
Isn't that, some would argue that measure he took is actually, a way to overcome that challenge?
What was the point about standing?
Jumping from one bus to another?
What was the point about standing there to swear to the whole world that for better, for worse? Why do you think we say that? You don't go to marry and say for better, for better. You say for better, for worse. That means that no matter the challenge, you're going to survive.
Well, he swore for better, for worse, not for west. But I understand and I believe that men should be able to, stay with their spouse.
Men and women.
Yeah, men and women, irrespective of. Because I think you love that individual and not the baby that hasn't yet come into the picture. So it's important to stay in love with that person.
It's so important. Let's go back again even to the Bible. You see people who went to set some of those challenges and perhaps for many years they couldn't have a baby. And the only baby that came eventually became greater than all the children, that other people have had. So look, don't compare yourself with other people. And when you're going to challenges, stay focused because your time will come. One thing I've learned about life is that there's a time for everything. Can I add one more thing that I just remembered? Especially for young people, one of the critical things in life is really to learn the principle of sowing and reaping.
Sowing and reaping.
It's so critical in life. Everything you sow, you're going to reap it. If you want to have less challenges in life, especially as a young person, watch what you're sowing. Watch what you're doing to other people. Watch how you're handling things. Watch the amount of lies that you're telling. Because, look, it's going to come back to you whether you like it or not. Even if you say you're sorry, the effects of these things are going to come back to you. You want to have a happy, peaceful, stable life, watch what you're doing today because it's going to come back to you.
That's like a karma effect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a law of life.
Okay. Interesting. Well, one thing that we have learned today is that some people actually speak tongues when they're in love. That part is just so amazing to me. Okay, so prior to taking your final comments, I'm still wondering exactly how, a person watching us right now and feeling he or she is going through some challenges, be it financial, be it relationship, how does the person overcome such?
So once again, just calm down. Please calm down. Secondly, deal with the fear. Because when you go into crisis, there's a lot of fear around you. You don't know what might happen next. But calm down, deal with the fear. Speak to the problem. Speak to the problem. Speak to the problem. Speak positive to the problem. Watch what you're saying. Don't let it be negative because what you're saying is going to come to pass. Invest some prayer into the problem. Get some counsel. Look, if you got people around you who are trusted people who can help speak some wisdom into your life, talk to them. Analyze the problem. Let the problem push you in the right direction. Turn the sword into a plowshare. The sword that is slaying you. Use it to become a tool to really cultivate something out of your life. So let it rather blow you in the right direction. And also, in all things, give thanks. Give thanks because what is looking like a problem could be a blessing in disguise. So it may be a sickness, it may be so bad, but if you start giving thanks, you'll one day wake up to really be grateful that problem really had happened, was good for you. It may have even been that you've just been fired from a job, but I'm speaking to you right now and saying that perhaps this is going to be the door for you to start your own business and become, a multi-millionaire. And perhaps one day you might employ your former boss.
Amen. No, if he fired me, then I'll start thinking twice about employing him. Anyway, so also, with what we've said so far, with what you've said so far, is that an allusion to the fact that every single challenge is overcomable?
It is. Every single challenge.
Every single one.
Every single challenge is overcomable. And I like to just take it again from my faith and to say that God will not allow a problem that is too big for you to come to you. If there's truly a God in this world, He's not going to give you too much that you can do it. It's true that sometimes it looks really huge, but it means that you have the capacity to deal with that problem.
Okay. I want you to speak to someone out there right now, someone who has sadly, tomorrow is, Gifty Auntie is doing her Femithon tomorrow.
True.
Yeah, at Elwak. And she was here the other time and she, spoke to me about a story of a young lady who had been raped and the whole thing. So I want to talk about rape as a challenge. So for sadly the few women out there watching us who may have gone through this, how do they overcome this?
I think rape is a really terrible thing to happen to anybody because the psychological effect and the fact that you don't know how to express yourself, even how to even explain it or talk about it to somebody. But the truth is, it's not the end of life. I've read the stories of so many great people who had to go through rape, and they have overcome it. And so tell yourself that is not the end of it. You know, you have to try and forgive yourself, because in situations like that, you start feeling it was my fault if I hadn't just gone for that party, if I hadn't just spoken to that person, if I hadn't just invited the person to my house and all of that. But forgive yourself. And like I said, it doesn't matter how negative that problem is. You can turn it around. Perhaps you become an advocate for young women, you know, and all the people who are doing stuff out there, just because they've been through some crisis and they have turned it around. It's like what we say, you turn your mess into a message. And so, you know, you may have gone through rape, but it's not the end of the world. You can be healed. You can get support. You know, you can get counseling. You can get, you know, prayer, and you should overcome it. You can rise above that storm, and it will become a very inspirational story. Because you see, if somebody has not gone through a certain kind of crisis, they cannot really inspire you. They can't inspire you. It takes people who have gone through certain kinds of crisis to be able to, you know, speak into your life. And so your mess is going to be your message. It's going to be, in fact, your career. It's going to, in fact, be a blessing to somebody, like my good friend and also mentor, Mr. Day, to me, you know.
But why should my suffering be a blessing to you?
You've helped me here, because one of the things I was going to talk about in preparing against the challenges of life is that when you focus on solving other people's problems, your problems become lesser. If you want to have less challenges in life, just focus on helping other people. And I can say that confidently for my own life, running a foundation for young people, investing my life without a salary for young people, paying the school fees of blind and deaf children, you know, going to rural areas and coaching and mentoring young people, speaking to people on leadership. I spend a lot of time at the prisons helping people. And I tell you what, I shouldn't swear, but I can almost assure you that I find that my problems get lesser and lesser. I find that before, you know, I worry about my own problems, there is a solution from somewhere. It's just a law of nature. When you focus on helping other people become better people in life, some way, somehow, nature, God, or whatever is out there helps you become a better person. So that is the point. Don't spend your life just focusing on yourself. Don't just be a selfish person. Look out there and say, how can I help this person? How can I be a blessing to that person? I may have only 10 Ghana cities, but perhaps I could take one city and help somebody else. That is the law of life. When you start focusing on solving other people's problems, I can tell you from my own life that you'll be amazed how well you become. I have a friend, you know, who's in a very senior position in this public sector organization, and he was sharing with me his life, how his younger brother died and left like 5 children. There was no one to take care of them. He had to get all of them to his house and start looking after them. He said suddenly he started getting promotion at work and money started coming to his hand. Somehow something had to come into his hands so that he can support these other people, just because he had a heart to help people. When you think like that, your problems go down and help comes to you.
Amazing. Okay, so I think I'll take your final comments on what we discussed so far generally.
Yeah, my final word is, if you're really in a crisis today, just encourage yourself. Just look at the positive side of it. It's not the end of the world. One day it's going to pass, just like a storm. A storm never stays forever. A hurricane doesn't happen for 10 years. It may just be a season, and it's going to pass. But the question is, are you an egg or you a yam? Are you an egg or you know the difference between an egg and a yam? When you boil the two of them, one becomes harder and one just mashes up. One becomes harder and one mashes up. If you're an egg, when you go into crisis, you're going to become a better person. But if you're just a yam, drop that yam. If you're just a yam, you know, it's going to mess